Good morning, everyone. I'm Ron Lithicum with the District Attorney's Office. Let's get started by introducing everyone in the meeting. We have a good turnout today.
Deputy Pinkston, Sac Sheriff, Homeless Outreach Team.
Stacy Bastian. I am with the Twin Rivers Unified School District, trustee.
Jim Hicks, Sheriff's Office, Crime Prevention.
Forrest Johnson, Supervisor Rodriguez's office.
Tanya Silva, Rio Linda Chamber of Commerce, Rio Linda CPAC, and business owner.
John Todd, Rio Linda Online.
Vianne Todd, Rio Linda Online.
Lucas Schaefer, Makes Creamery.
Natalie Price, The Grotto.
Officer Ben Cheney, Northsec CHP Pop.
Lily Hernandez, Sacramento County Office of Economic Development.
Troy Golden with Golden Ray Solar Cleaning, Rio Linda, Alberta Chamber of Commerce, and Rio Linda, Alberta Recreation and Park District.
Thank you all for coming. Natalie, good to see you. You haven't been here for a while. Appreciate it. Good to see you. So we started these meetings, I guess, several months ago with the focus of trying to help the business community protect themselves because it's hard to do business when you can't do business safely. So with that in mind, we want to open it up to the businesses. How can we help you guys? What's happening? What do you guys see? We got law enforcement partners here, CHP and Sheriff, to help. And we have Jim Hicks, who's a crime specialist with the Sheriff's Department. So go ahead. This is your chance.
So I would just
Here.
say that
Pass this down.
last night at about, 10:30, I was on the phone. I got a notification. Someone's in my parking lot just across the street. So I look and they come in and then they park and they sit. And I'm like, we're not doing this. So I called Sheriff, watched on, I never know if they're coming to break in. They park in like a dark, inconspicuous space back in the corner. And sometimes I can see, but the rain yesterday, I couldn't see if they're doing drugs, prostitution. I don't know what it was. But it wasn't 10 minutes. Sheriffs are there, check them out, get them to go. So I know this community, oftentimes when I go to community meetings, I hear, oh, the sheriffs don't come, they don't care, they don't, every time I call, within 10 minutes, there's a sheriff taking care of the problem. So I see that non-emergency number works. And so I just wanted to share, I'm thankful that we have that.
So I just wanted to bring up, we brought it up at the Rio Linda Alberta Chamber of Commerce meeting last night. I'm going to email North Pop, I believe. I talked to you last time about the security cameras, like the city has, the trailer cams, they call them, to email North Pop and then CC Supervisor Rodriguez on that to see if we could get some of the area hotspots, which would be like right by Troygan Park, be the Arches, and unfortunately the Rite Aid, and then here in the shopping center, if property management would approve. So
Jim, do you know anything about the trailers and the availability of the sheriff's security? No.
Yeah, we work with those. Pop will work with them. We work with them as far as the hotspots. The trailers are actually under the control of our property crimes detectives. And so we do have those trailers available. We move them around based upon what is truly happening. So if you want something in an area, let it be known, but there also has to be calls for service to back up those things. If there's no data, they're going to run the numbers. And if there's no calls for service, they'll say there's nothing happening there. So if it's of care and concern to you, something you guys want, send those emails to the North Pop. They can help arrange that, but also there needs to be associated calls for service to show that there is a want and a need for there to be there, because they're going to look at, okay, you got a problem at the Arches. They're going to look at the intersection. They're going to look for calls for service.
In other words, you're looking for criminal activity to justify.
Something to justify the resources spent, because those trailers are extremely valuable to the property crimes detectives as far as being able to go to some of the other hot spots for break-ins and stuff like that.
okay. Does that include traffic?
That we do not know.
That's the highway patrol. Traffic is strictly highway patrol in the county.
For the sheriff's office, yeah. So if you're relating to anything happening around there, if it's all traffic related, that's not going to be our venue. That'll fall under CHP.
To do that, we'll go when our radar guys are working. We'll go,
they chase them out of one spot and they're popping up somewhere else. So, it's just that happens sometimes. But if you're seeing it, if you can get video and a plate, that's awesome. If you can get a video and a still shot of the plate or something like that, but video is great because we're able to write a warrant for those cars. We don't know who was driving it, but they're going to take that car. And we've got the judges to sign off on that we can do that. So if you need a video of it, great. Our guys show up out there and they disappear. They show up somewhere else. They come back 3 nights later, or 4 nights later, next weekend or whatever. But by the time we get there, it might be moved. But if you get video of it, get that to us, and we can do something with it.
So for the group, I'm not sure everyone heard. It's about sideshows. If you can get a picture with a license plate, the CHP can write a warrant and seize that car for, I think it's a month impound, which is extremely expensive. That goes a long way in stopping sideshows. I did have an update about 3525 Elkhorn. We had a private property parcel that was having sideshows advertised. Has the group heard of that?
Yeah.
It was huge. We shut it down. We met with the tenants. We explained the criminal liability, that if it persisted. We also contacted the organizer, who we found out lived in Olivehurst, and our California Highway Patrol POP guys drove out there to Olivehurst and knocked on his door, and we think scared the living daylights out of the guys, so the show was canceled. So they're no longer occurring. So that was a win. Yeah. Here.
So I've got mine. To be clear, I've got mine. To be clear, the sideshows at the corner of Elkhorn and Watt Avenue, were operated and promoted by somebody from Olivehurst.
That's different. That's
okay.
Is that a public street? Is that a public street?
No. This is the northwest corner of Elkhorn and Watt, where they were.
3525. I believe that's
likely
it.
Yeah.
It was actually a promotion. It was advertised, I think, on Instagram and Facebook for sideshow activities, and we partnered with the Highway Patrol. The first event, after we became aware of it, the Highway Patrol SAC Cats team went out there and towed 8 cars.
Wow.
I think they issued something like 50 citations. It was maximum enforcement. They literally waited for everybody to leave the property and were pulling over every illegal vehicle they saw. It was a great success. That went a long way in deterring the criminal activity. CHP cannot enforce the law on private property when it comes to sideshows. So that was up to the DA and the sheriff to address. We did. We met with the tenants, and the owner actually is on board with us, but it was the tenant that was allowing it. So yeah, that is now stopped.
And they claimed that they had a use permit. Obviously, they did not.
They did not.
All right.
No use permit would be granted.
Right.
Anywhere in the county.
It has been. Now listen, in Rio Linda, a use permit for a sideshow on private property has been granted twice before that I know of.
Oh, okay.
So it's been done. But
what location? I'm just curious. What location was that?
That was at the I forget the name of the tow yard, but it's a junkyard over on West 4th Street. I forget the name of the guy.
How long? It's all right. We don't need the name. How long ago?
Evans. It was Evans Towing.
How long ago?
It was a few,
6 years ago.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if it would be allowed today.
I was surprised it was allowed at the time.
Yeah.
I mean, they were exposing themselves to lots of liability if somebody got hurt or injured.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, that's my update. Anything else? Businesses? Yep.
I just want to bring up the Rite Aid over on Elkhorn here, that it's all been fenced in now. However, what people are doing is climbing over the fences, trying to tear the fences down. There are the food stands still, the taco stands that are now coming more on the sidewalk and in the street. So I was just wondering if there's anything we can do. They did try with fences, temporary fences around it, but unfortunately that's not working.
Yeah, those food vendors are very difficult for us. Oh, Forrest has an update.
What was the problem?
Food vendors at Rite Aid.
They put up fencing, temporary fencing, so now the food vendors keep going out there, like on the sidewalk or in the street now. More on the property.
More towards that. That was the entrance on Rio Linda Boulevard. We can reach out to code then.
Yeah, it's a hard. Those are hard issues to stop those food vendors under the state law, but you need to report that to code. Food vending should go to code. Jim, do you have any updates on food vendors? Any? Okay.
No, I know. I think it's like the partnership from EMD and code has to.
Yeah.
For it to be in effect, it has to be both.
EMD and code.
That's what I was.
Yeah. But if you see someone climbing the fence, by all means, call the sheriff, and we'll trespass those individuals. Okay. Anything else before we go to our law enforcement partners?
There is an event this weekend, a large party. There will be alcohol and perhaps maybe a rodeo. I'm not really sure. How do we verify that there's going to be? I know if I was to go and rent a venue and I wanted to have alcohol there, I would have to hire security. So how do I as a neighbor determine whether or not this is properly permitted?
What I would do is let Forrest know, and Forrest could check with. We could check with the sheriff's department to see. I haven't heard of any event out there. Jim,
There's
have you?
always events. I haven't seen them all, but because there's depending on the event, there's multiple types.
Yeah.
So there might be a temporary use permit. There may be the event permit, and the alcohol would be its own permit that has to include the sheriff's sign off, which is why the security is required. So I would say, the event happening first and foremost, and then contacting. I'll find out about the sheriff's if we release an information or how it gets. Maybe it all goes through planning, building. I'll figure that out. But yeah.
I'm very much about people being able to use their property the way that they want legally.
Of course, yeah.
I don't think just because I don't think you shouldn't be able to have a rodeo at a party at your house. I think you should be able to do whatever you want with it. Ensuring the safety of those around, I guess.
Hook up with Jim after, and he can check with our alcohol ABC unit to see if it was approved.
There's definitely, because there's been Second Avenue or Second Street. There's a series of properties that have been having different types of events. One of them is a family that has everything that they've said is they've had family events at their house. So I did some researching, and there's that level of if you host an event at your house, as long as it's under 500 people, if it is all family, does not require permits, does not require, even to serve alcohol, as long as somebody's paying. There's fees paying, it's different. But the minute it gets into paying admission or a wedding, different types of things, and then that's when the permits are needed. If you're serving food, it's a whole different level. Alcohol is a whole different level. So it really depends on multiple things, but there's got to be somebody, and I would think it's part of the planning and building aspect that who would know for sure. We'll figure out who, so you can know who to contact. Might even be something that's available on a public website because it's all public information. So
Okay.
I'll help you figure that out.
Thank you.
Okay, we do have another issue here about a sideshow. I'm going to give you this.
My name is Singh. So my name is Singh. I own that gas station. On the gas station on M Street, and we have so many sideshows on that street between a gas station and park. And there's only two way for them to run, either from that or that. And it's been happening.
What days does that happen?
They show up middle of after 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. And you can tell actually what's going to happen now.
Okay, if you see a sideshow developing, I would call 911. 911.
So I did, and they recommended me to call North Unit CHP. We called CHP, nobody showed up. And I stopped calling because nothing gets done.
Wait. So the 911 dispatcher did not take your call? They should have transferred to CHP.
We ended up calling CHP. I remember that.
Do you know what number you called?
There's two CHPs there. One on the North Unit.
Right, but that phone won't ring after 5 o'clock.
No, we did spoke to somebody.
So you spoke to somebody.
Yes.
So, 911 would be your best bet, I would say, because it's something that's in progress, happening now. The non-emergency line, I can give you that number, and that's our dispatch.
Please keep calling 911.
I would just recommend the 911.
And say that you have spoken to California Highway Patrol and the District Attorney's Office, and they said to call 911.
So
Okay.
every phone call you make, doesn't matter if it's CHP answers it or Sac Sheriff answers it, it generates data.
Okay.
Even if everyone's already gone by the time the officers show up, because the officers may have shown up after the participants already left and they drove by and there's no cars out here, but it generates that initial data point that shows events and it's trackable. So that way those people that are way above our pay grades that tell us what to do, they can look at the issues and problems and say, hey, we have a problem every Tuesday night at 11:30 out in this area. They can allocate resources based upon that data. But if there's no calls, because you say nobody shows up, so we stop calling, well, then we don't know what's happening. And so no resources are going to be expended on an issue that there's no data behind it to get behind.
Okay. I'll start making calls. There's only one gas station on M Street, so it's a 7.
M and 7.
Yeah.
M and 7.
Yeah.
So, and what day of the week is most problematic, you think?
They show up in the weekdays
More
and
Friday, Saturday, or
no, it's probably like a middle of the week.
middle of the week?
Yes.
Okay. And around 10 o'clock, you said?
Between 10:30 and probably like midnight, somewhere around that
Some of my
ballpark.
graveyard guys know, so we get some eager guys that are on our graveyard shift, and I'll just, maybe if they want to go through once in a while, just look, because they can make it on their regular rounds.
Okay,
I'll mention it to them.
that would be nicer. Yeah.
So please continue to call 911. It's like Deputy Pinkston said, that creates data that we need to know when it's happening so that we could have the appropriate resources go out there. Okay? Please call 911.
I have called about your parking lot multiple times, more than once. I call 911. They say there's no cars moving. It's not a sideshow. We can't get it to CHP. So I call the non-emergency sheriff's number, and they say, oh, if it's vehicles, call CHP. So I've got the same problem you had, where nobody's going to respond because it's just a bunch of cars gathering. There is no sideshow. Nobody respond, and
Are they burning out?
No.
Drive by and see there's a burned out there.
Yeah. But at the time when I'm calling, there is no sideshow.
No,
So
but-
CHP's like, oh, it's not our problem.
No, but
And then-
it's all about how you say it. You need to say they do a sideshow multiple days a week. They come out here, they drive recklessly, they skid their tires. It's a sideshow. I see a sideshow developing.
Okay.
They're getting in position to do it again. I need an officer here now. It's a public safety threat. Say it like that.
And I did tell him, I thought, but then I don't know if he notices, but half of them are like masked, and I'm thinking they're going to go bust into businesses.
Do you describe? Do you tell the officers
Yes,
that? Okay.
Absolutely.
All right.
But it's, I don't know. It's an odd situation because they're not doing a sideshow, and then they're not breaking into businesses. It's like they're just loitering at that point. It is a weird situation.
Well, even at
over
that,
there.
business doesn't want to have 35 cars in
Right.
the parking lot.
Yeah.
So you can if you change it up, okay, so there's no vehicles currently moving, but I have 35 cars in my parking lot, they're loitering, I want them gone. I want them
Yeah.
all trespassed. They're trespassing.
But we want the CHP to go out there immediately
Yeah.
for a sideshow. That's the key. And I think that's the real threat. So keep calling.
Okay.
And if this happens next month and you have not gotten a response, we'll follow up further. Okay. Anything else? Yep.
So recently there was a Facebook post about an unsavory character looking into a business, and there was a community discussion about whether sheriffs or cops should be involved or not, because was he technically doing anything? And it was someone who is known of mental disability, or not disability, but not all there and everything. And so I wanted to get clarification so I can reiterate what we actually need to do when we see someone that's not technically doing something illegal yet, but we've had so many issues with people that might not be doing something yet, but they're about to.
Yeah. I can tell you what I do. If I see a suspicious car or suspicious person, I call in for an officer to come check it out. Officers love, especially during slow times, it gives them a basis to go make contact with that person and actually check into what they're doing there. Otherwise, the officer is probably going to drive right by. Now, if it's a person that is known who has a mental problem and is not a criminal, I probably wouldn't call on that person. But if it's a person who commits crime or is looking in windows, checking car doors, I would call that every day of the week. You do not have to wait for a crime to occur. So you need to call that in, and let's get in front of the crime and get an officer out there. Oftentimes these guys will get there, pat the individual down, and they'll find a gun or some weapon. Now they're going to jail. So that's the way to do it. Non-emergency. Yep. Get ahead of it, though, if you see a suspicious person. Do you have something? Anything? Anyone else?
So we
Yep.
did have a break-in at our church last Tuesday. A gal's car got broken into, and somebody stole her Bibles and her lunch bag. It's such a petty thing. It wasn't.
They may have really needed it.
That's what they say. The problem is it was given to her by a woman that passed away this year.
Yeah.
So very sentimental. And we've searched and scoured, can't find him. Who knows what they did with them. But it was an interesting, there was like 7 cars randomly placed in the parking lot. One of them unlocked, and they didn't bother it. So it was like a weird crime. You know, you're going to break in and steal a Bible. I had cash, and I mean, there's other things that were more visible that could have easily been broken into. So that was a unique crime to me because it felt like there was intention behind it.
Yeah.
So just an odd thing, but no cameras caught exactly what happened, and so
Was it reported?
I am not sure. It wasn't my car, so hopefully it was. But
Okay.
it was just an interesting.
Yeah.
So the biggest
Right.
thing, a lot of these individuals that break into cars, typically, especially out in this area, you're either going to have those that do it on a daily and just aren't caught. Most of them are going to be starting out on drugs. There's some drug issue, so you can't make logic on some of what actions that they're doing.
Right.
So that may have been the first car that person came to, saw something sitting there because it's dark. They just saw an object. They broke a window or opened the door. However, took the object and left because, hey, I'm not going to finish looking at the cars. I just broke a window or made noise or whatever. So they're
Yeah.
just going to do one. They're crimes of opportunity. So they see something in the car. They don't know what it is. They're just going to give it a try.
Forrest, do you have anything?
Other than looking into the speed cameras,
Good. Good. Okay, speed cameras. Natalie?
Those petty crimes like Tanya was just referencing, should we be documenting, reporting those type of things?
So here's the thing with
I'm
the
seeing a
crime on
yes.
the burglary on the car. If the car was unlocked, no force was used to open the car, it's a petty theft, depending on what was taken.
Hmm.
If the car was locked, regardless of what was taken, and they forced entry, it's a vehicle burglary, it's a felony crime.
Okay.
So that kind of goes hand in hand with the guy who's looking inside windows, whether it be businesses, homes, cars, looking for that potential opportunity of a crime. So you see something, say something. If the worst thing comes out, if it's just a guy who's maybe slightly out of his mind taking a nightly walk, hey, have a nice night, goes on his way. If it turns into something else, it turns into something else. But that's how your cars get broken into, because a lot of people dismiss the notion of, well, they haven't done anything yet, so I'm just not going to bother. You got to safeguard your neighborhood. We can respond to, we can't necessarily prevent this
Yeah.
stuff from happening, unfortunately. The community can help prevent. Law enforcement typically is, hey, we can help you in planning for prevention, but typically we are a response to. So and that's the unfortunate part of it. So as a community together, you have people who are, they're vigilant on checking out their windows. You have, retirees that don't have anything else better to do. They're, looking out the front window all day. Hey, great, make friends with them. Let them know, hey, nobody should be at my house between these hours. You see anybody, call for me, please.
Just a quick question. Sunday night, Monday morning, somebody took a couple of shots at a car at Curve Bridge and Cherry Lane. Did you guys ever catch that guy?
Couldn't tell you right offhand.
Okay.
Let's hook up after.
Yeah, that's fine.
Shots are actually connected with the car.
Yeah. Jim, do you want to do your
just
thing?
Real quick, there's several different things that have been touching on it, and it's just really important, a good reminder. Whether it's what we're seeing and whether or not we report it, whether it's a crime has occurred, whether you think anyone's going to solve it or not, right? The example that I'll give is you left your side gate open, you left your shed open, and somebody comes and steals your lawnmower. So you think, I shouldn't have done that. It's my fault. You don't tell anybody. And then you see something suspicious, but I don't know if it's anything wrong with it. And then you talk to your neighbors and you talk to people, and from your perspective in your community, there's a whole lot of things going on. And from law enforcement's perspective, none of this is happening because you're not telling us what's going on when your property's stolen, even if it's a crime that doesn't lead to anything. But is it a forced entry crime? Is it a crime of opportunity? Is it a suspicious person call that leads to something else? You letting us know what's going on. I mean, you are the eyes and ears of your community. So if you see something, all those adages, see something, say something, but report it. Encourage your neighbors and friends and customers and whoever you see. If they're a victim of a crime, report it. We have volunteers who can talk on the phone and take all the information. It might be a situation where a CSO has to come out and take the report. But make the calls if you see something. If it's a call, like everyone has said, if it's a call that doesn't lead anywhere, when we meet you in the community, when you start talking about the things that you're seeing, and then we as law enforcement look into things from our end, we go, yeah, we are seeing a lot of activity. We're seeing more activity than we saw last month, last year, and then in resources, that's a lot of how it happens. The sheriff's office is an intelligence-led policing department, and that's a huge part of it is, yes, even on those instances where no one's going to get caught, we're not going to find the property, we want to know about it because it's how we know what's going on in every community. So
very good.
Very important.
Excellent. Yeah. The other thing, if I see a suspicious car, I make a habit of writing down the plate number because if you learn that a crime occurred later, it sure is helpful to have that plate number to know that that car with that person was there. So that could be helpful. Did you have anything? You're good? All right, you guys. We'll see.
One quick
One
question.
more.
On the trespass, I know there's a form that the sheriff has that I can fill out, have notarized.
Letter of agency.
Letter of agency.
Jim, explain that.
Yeah.
Jim?
So yeah, the letter of agency, the idea behind it is after hours, when you weren't at your business, if law enforcement finds anyone at your property, they can issue the 602 notice. If somebody's on your property and it's 2 a.m, the only way the deputies can issue them that notice is for you to come out to the property and sign, authorize it. If you have the letter of agency, we can issue those notices without you having to come out to your property. Very important. Plus, it helps get your address on that law enforcement radar as a partner of what we're trying to fight crime and all that kind of thing. So.
Yeah, and anybody that has a business that wants to do that, hook up with Jim after.
It needs to be renewed every year. If you've done it before, it's every year you got to renew it.
Yeah, is there any way that we could maybe at one of the business watches schedule to do the letter of agencies for businesses and having the notary come out and do that?
We have done that. We have to have at least 4 or 5 businesses, though, willing to do it to make it worthwhile to get somebody out here. So if you want to do it next month and you're guaranteed to get businesses here to do it, Jim, I think we could try to set that up.
Excellent.
All right. In November.
We offer it for free. Our officers do it, but you have to come to 4510. You schedule an appointment. The easiest way to start it is just it's HOT LOA, right? Mm-hmm. It's HOTLOA@sacsheriff.com. Email them, let them know. They'll verify that the address is valid, send you the form that needs to be filled out. You email and get set up for an appointment, come in. But like Rob said, if we get enough to do it, we'll bring the notary out and sign up several at a time. But if it's 1 or 2, then go through the
Next
process.
month is on Veterans Day, so we're going to move the meeting back a week. Is that correct?
Oh, after, right? November 18th?
Oh, November 18th, right, the next day.
Yes.
All right.
Just so you guys know. Oh,
Good.
you took care of it.
All right, you guys. Natalie, did you have anything? Okay. See you next month. Thank you.
Thank you.
There you go. Throw it.
Yes.